What if the secret to a beautiful garden had nothing to do with a yard? Most people have no idea that some of the most rewarding, lowest maintenance plants on Earth actually prefer growing in pots, coming back year after year without replanting, without fuss, and without the work most people dread. Today I am sharing 17 perennials that thrive in containers and return stronger every single season. Stay with me, because number 9 will change how you think about container gardening. Subscribe to Evergreen Garden right now. Number 1 is lavender. Few plants suit a container quite like lavender, and once you understand why pots actually work better than open ground in most parts of America, you will never look at a bare porch or patio the same way again. Lavender thrives in poor, dry, well-drained soil, and that is exactly what a container delivers when managed correctly. The roots never sit in moisture. The soil warms faster in spring, and you can move the pot to follow the sun or bring it indoors before a harsh winter, giving it a longer life than the ground alone allows in colder climates. Lavender has been one of the most treasured aromatic and medicinal plants in human history for over 2,500 years. Ancient Egyptians used it in embalming rituals. Roman soldiers added it to bath water before battle. Medieval monks grew it across Europe to treat headaches, insomnia, and anxiety. The word lavender comes from the Latin lavare, meaning to wash. Multiple clinical studies have shown lavender aromatherapy significantly reduces anxiety and improves sleep quality, particularly in older adults. It is one of the most evidence-backed botanical remedies in existence. Lavender grows in USDA zones 5 through 9, but works as a container plant in nearly any zone because you can bring it indoors when temperatures fall. Use a terracotta pot with drainage holes, plant in fast-draining, gritty mix, place it in full sun, and prune lightly after each bloom flush. It will fill your space with fragrance for years. Number 2 is hostas. If you have ever struggled to find something beautiful for a shaded porch, deck, or north-facing corner, you are about to find your answer. Hostas produce large, architectural leaves in every shade of green, blue-green, gold, and creamy white. And in a container, they become a living sculpture you can position wherever shade falls. They go completely dormant in winter and push back through the soil in spring, more robust than the year before, without effort. Hostas originated in Japan, China, and Korea, where they have been cultivated as ornamental plants for centuries. In Japan, young shoots of certain varieties were traditionally eaten as a spring vegetable. The plant reached European botanical gardens in the late 1700s and quickly became one of the most collected ornamentals in the world. Modern breeding has produced thousands of named varieties with improved pest resistance and greater sun tolerance. Hostas grow in USDA zones 3 through 9, among the most cold-hardy perennials on this list. Use a large pot with rich, moisture-retentive mix. Keep them out of direct afternoon sun, and they will grow larger and more beautiful every single year, with almost no input from you. Number 3 is heuchera, also called coral bells. And this may be the most underused container perennial in American gardening today. Heuchera produces low rosettes of ruffled, deeply lobed leaves in a color range no other perennial comes close to matching. Burgundy, caramel, lime green, near black, silver, peach, and layered combinations at once. In summer, it sends up tall, wiry stems topped with tiny bell-shaped flowers in pink, red, or white that hummingbirds find irresistible. It stays attractive year-round in mild climates and returns reliably from dormancy in colder ones. Heuchera is native to North America, found growing wild across rocky mountain meadows from the Pacific coast to the Appalachians. Native peoples across the eastern woodlands used the roots as an astringent treatment for wounds and mouth sores. Early botanical explorers shipped specimens to European gardens in the 1600s, where the plant became prized for its foliage, long before modern breeding produced the color range available today. Research has confirmed tannins and astringent compounds in heuchera roots that support its traditional wound healing applications. Heuchera grows in USDA zones 4 through 9, stays compact, and never needs dividing in containers. Plant it in well-drained mix in partial shade, and it will be beautiful and healthy 5 years from now without you having done much of anything. Number 4 is sedum. And before I go further, Plant number 7 on this list is one of the most visually dramatic container perennials you have never considered, and it will transform the look of any pot arrangement. Stay with me for that. Sedum, also called stone crop, is built for containers. Its thick, water-storing leaves shrug off drought, neglect, and intense heat with complete indifference, making it the right choice for anyone who forgets to water or travels frequently. Taller varieties like Sedum spectabile produce large, flat flower heads in pink, red, and white in late summer and fall that butterflies and bees cannot leave alone. Sedum has a long history in traditional medicine across Europe and Asia. In Russia and Eastern Europe, roseroot sedum was used for centuries as a tonic and fatigue fighter, given to soldiers and athletes to improve endurance under stress. Mongolian healers used it to treat altitude sickness in mountain communities. Research on certain sedum species, particularly Rhodiola rosea, has confirmed adaptogenic properties, with clinical trials showing improvements in mental fatigue and physical endurance. Sedum grows in USDA zones 3 through 9, tolerates virtually any container and any neglect, and asks only for full sun and a pot with drainage. It is one of the easiest perennials you will ever grow. Number 5 is the daylily. You might not think of daylilies as container plants, but gardeners who grow them in pots discover something worth knowing. Contained roots push these plants to bloom more, channeling energy upward into flowers rather than outward into spreading. Each daylily flower lasts one day, but a mature pot sends up dozens of flower stalks, carrying multiple buds simultaneously, creating a continuous display that runs for weeks. The colors span the entire spectrum, from pale cream to deep burgundy. Daylilies have been cultivated in China for over 3,000 years, valued as both food and medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine used the roots and flowers to treat inflammation, anxiety, and urinary complaints. The young shoots were eaten as spring vegetables, and dried flowers were added to soups as both flavoring and tonic. When Chinese immigrants arrived in America in the 19th century, daylilies came with them. Research has identified flavonoids and carotenoids in daylily flowers with antioxidant activity, supporting some of the traditional uses documented in Chinese medicine. Daylilies grow in USDA zones 3 through 9, tolerate sun or partial shade, survive drought once established, and need almost no care beyond an occasional drink. In a container, they bloom freely and come back every spring, ready to perform again. Number 6 is catmint. Picture a low, billowing mound of silver-green aromatic leaves, covered from late spring through early fall in soft blue-purple flowers that bees and butterflies cannot resist, requiring almost no water, no deadheading, and no special soil. That is catmint in a container, and it is one of the most rewarding perennials you can grow in a pot. Catmint has been grown in European gardens for centuries, valued in Tudor England as a border plant, and in medieval households as a calming tea for fevers, anxiety, and sleeplessness. Its attraction to cats is well documented, but its benefits for people are less widely known. Research published in Science Advances in 2021 found that nepentolactone, the compound responsible for the cat response, outperforms DEET by up to 10 times as a mosquito repellent in certain laboratory conditions. A pot of catmint on your porch is not just beautiful, it is functional pest control. Catmint grows in USDA zones 3 through 8 and suits containers well because its compact, mounding habit stays tidy without pruning. Give it full sun, well-drained mix, and almost no water once established, and trim it back halfway after the first bloom flush for a second wave of flowers within weeks. Number 7 is creeping Jenny. And this is the one I promised you. If you have ever seen a pot where a plant spills over the rim in a waterfall of bright golden green foliage and thought it looked professionally designed, there is a good chance what you were looking at was creeping Jenny. Lysomachia nummularia produces long, trailing stems covered in small, perfectly round leaves in vivid chartreuse gold that catches the light in a way few plants can match. It roots wherever stems touch soil, but stays manageable in a container, spilling over the edges in long cascades that make every pot look like it was arranged by a landscape professional. Creeping Jenny has been used in European herbal tradition for centuries, primarily as a wound healing plant. Nicholas Culpeper, the 17th century English physician, described it as a treatment for bleeding wounds and skin inflammation. It was also used as a diuretic and cleansing tonic in folk medicine across England and Germany. Modern research has identified tannins, flavonoids, and saponins in Lysimachia species that support its traditional anti-inflammatory and wound-healing reputation. Creeping Jenny grows in USDA zones 3 through 9 and thrives in both sun and shade. Drop it into any container as a trailing element, water it regularly, and it will transform every pot arrangement on your porch or patio. Number 8 is astilbe. And if you have a shaded deck or porch where most flowering plants refuse to perform, astilbe is the plant that will change everything. Astilbe produces tall, feathery plumes of flowers in deep red, pink, lavender, and white that rise above fern-like foliage in midsummer. In a container, those plumes add height and presence to any arrangement. After the flowers fade, the dried plumes hold their structure for weeks, extending the visual interest well into fall. Astilbe originated in Asia, primarily China, Japan, and Korea, where it has been cultivated as a garden ornamental for centuries. Traditional Chinese medicine used astilbe roots to treat pain, promote circulation, and reduce fever. Korean herbal practice used it for headaches and as a general tonic. Research has confirmed anti-inflammatory and analgesic compounds in several astilbe species, including burgeonin and coumarins, validating traditional applications documented in Asian medicine. Astilbe grows in USDA zones 3 through 8 and prefers the shade that most patios and covered porches provide. Keep the soil consistently moist. Use a larger container to accommodate the root system, and this plant will give you one of the best floral displays possible in a shaded container. And now we reach number 9, the one I told you about at the start. Number 9 is the black-eyed Susan. Most people grow black-eyed Susans in the ground, but in a container, they become more manageable and more concentrated, delivering those iconic golden yellow petals and dark brown centers in a tight, controlled burst of color that lasts from midsummer all the way through fall. In a pot, black-eyed Susans get the excellent drainage they love, warm up faster in spring, and stay compact rather than spreading in every direction. The perennial variety, Rudbeckia fulgida, returns reliably each year and forms a denser, more productive clump with each passing season. Native Americans relied on black-eyed Susan as a medicinal plant for generations. The Cherokee brewed the roots into a tea to treat colds and worm infestations, while the Ojibwe used root infusions as a strengthening tonic. By the early 1800s, it was a standard plant in frontier medicine chests across America. Modern researchers have found polyacetylines and flavonoids in Rudbeckia species with significant immune-stimulating activity, drawing comparisons to echinacea, its close botanical relative. Black-eyed Susan grows in USDA zones 3 through 9. Planted in full sun in well-drained potting mix, water it during extended dry spells, and leave the seed heads through winter to feed birds. It returns every spring, ready to put on another show. Number 10 is echinacea, the purple coneflower, and few perennials reward container growing as generously as this one. In a pot, echinacea stays focused. Rather than spreading energy across a wide area the way it does in the ground, it channels everything into those large, commanding flower heads that attract butterflies, bees, and goldfinches from the moment they open. The dark, domed centers, surrounded by swept-back purple or rose petals, are among the most striking sights in any container garden, and they are just the beginning of what this plant offers. Native peoples across the Great Plains, including the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Comanche, relied on echinacea root preparations to treat infected wounds, snake bites, toothaches, and immune weakness more than almost any other plant available to them. When Lewis and Clark traveled through the plains, they documented native use extensively, and the plant's reputation spread through American botanical circles. A landmark meta-analysis in the Lancet Infectious Diseases, reviewing 14 clinical trials, found echinacea extracts reduced the incidence of the common cold by 58% and shortened its duration by more than a day. Echinacea grows in USDA zones 3 through 9. Give it a deep container, full sun, well-drained mix, and skip the deadheading at season's end so the seed heads can feed birds through winter. It returns every spring more vigorous than the last. Number 11 is salvia. This is one of the longest blooming, most adaptable, and most hummingbird-attracting perennials you can grow in a container, and most American gardeners have barely scratched the surface of what the salvia family offers. Perennial salvias produce spikes of tubular flowers in electric blue, deep purple, scarlet, and pink that bloom from late spring through the first frost. In a container, the compact varieties stay tidy and manageable, while still producing more flowers per square inch than almost any other plant. Salvia, the Latin word for health, has been revered as a medicinal plant since ancient Rome. Roman physician Pliny the Elder described it as a plant that promotes long life, and the proverb, "Why should a man die who grows sage in his garden?" circulated through medieval Europe for centuries. Both the culinary herb and the ornamental perennial carry that long history of healing. Modern research on salvia species has confirmed compounds with antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and cognitive supporting properties, with some studies investigating potential benefits for memory and focus in aging populations. Salvia grows in USDA zones 4 through 10, depending on the variety, with many performing as reliably returning perennials across most of the continental United States. Full sun and excellent drainage are the only real requirements. This plant practically grows itself. Number 12 is liriope, also called monkey grass or lily turf. And this is the plant that garden designers reach for when they need something in a container that will simply never fail. Liriope produces dense, arching clumps of grass-like leaves in deep green or variegated green and gold, followed in late summer by spikes of small violet or white flowers that look like grape hyacinth. In fall, those flowers give way to glossy black berries that hold through winter. It stays evergreen in mild climates, goes semi-dormant in cold ones, and returns perfectly every spring. Liriope originates in China, Japan, and Taiwan, where it has been used in traditional medicine for over 2,000 years. Chinese medicine used the root tubers to treat dry cough, heart palpitations, insomnia, and general weakness. It remains an official medicinal plant in both Chinese and Korean pharmacopoeias today. Research has confirmed compounds in liriope roots, including steroidal saponins and homoisoflavonoids with anti-inflammatory, immune-modulating, and cardioprotective activity. Liriope grows in USDA zones 4 through 10 and tolerates deep shade, full sun, drought, and flooding with equal indifference. If you are looking for a container plant that simply will not quit, liriope is your answer. Number 13 is hellebore, also known as the Lenten rose, and this is the plant that will make your containers look their best at the exact time of year when everything else looks dead. Hellebore blooms in late winter and very early spring, often while snow is still on the ground, producing nodding, cup-shaped flowers in cream, blush pink, deep purple, burgundy, and spotted patterns that no other perennial can offer at that time of year. In a container, you can position it where it gets maximum visibility during those otherwise barren months, then move it to a shadier spot once summer arrives. Hellebore has been used in European medicine since ancient Greece, where physicians used it to treat mental illness, and it appeared in classical texts. Throughout the Middle Ages, it was grown in monastery apothecary gardens across Europe, though its use required great care due to its potency. Research has confirmed powerful cardiac glycosides and other bioactive compounds in hellebore, explaining both its historical medicinal reputation and the caution its use requires. Hellebore grows in USDA zones 4 through 9, prefers shade, and is evergreen in mild climates. In a container, it is long-lived, slow to establish, and genuinely worth the wait. Give it rich, moisture-retentive mix, dappled shade, and patience. It rewards you for many years. Number 14 is dianthus, also called pinks. And if you want a container perennial that delivers fragrance, old-fashioned charm, and nearly year-round color, dianthus belongs in every pot you own. Perennial dianthus produces fringed, ruffled flowers in every shade of pink, red, white, and bicolor combinations, with a spicy clove fragrance that carries through warm summer air. The compact blue-green foliage stays attractive even when the plant is not in bloom, giving the container a tidy, structured look through every season. Dianthus has been cultivated in gardens for over 2,000 years. The ancient Greeks named it dianthus, meaning divine flower, and it appeared in the gardens of both Greek and Roman civilization. Throughout the Tudor period in England, pinks were among the most beloved garden flowers, used to flavor wine and ale, and worn in garlands at celebrations. Shakespeare referenced them in multiple plays. Research has identified flavonoids and saponins in dianthus species with antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. Some traditional preparations use the flowers to treat fever and urinary complaints. Dianthus grows in USDA zones 3 through 9 and is one of the few perennials that tolerates shallow containers, making it a good fit for window boxes and smaller pots. Give it full sun, excellent drainage, and deadhead spent blooms regularly, and it will flower from spring through fall. Number 15 is blue fescue. This one might surprise you, but once you see what a container of blue fescue does to a patio or entryway, you will wonder how you ever arranged pots without it. Blue fescue, or Festuca glauca, forms tight, spiky mounds of steel blue to silvery blue grass that look like something from a design magazine. That color does not fade in summer heat, does not wash out in direct sun, and requires no special care to maintain. It holds that striking blue tone through the entire growing season, creating contrast and architectural interest against any other plant in any container combination. Ornamental grasses have been valued in East Asian garden design for thousands of years, particularly in Japan and China, where the movement of grass in the wind was considered a form of living art, representing naturalness and simplicity. Blue fescue entered European and American gardens in the 19th century, and has been a staple of modern landscape design ever since. Research on fescue species has confirmed drought tolerance mechanisms and soil-stabilizing root structures that explain the plant's resilience in difficult growing conditions. Blue fescue grows in USDA zones 4 through 8, thrives in full sun and poor, dry soil, and is content in a small to medium container. Divide it every 2 to 3 years to keep it looking its best, and you will have this plant in your garden essentially forever. Number 16 is hardy geranium, also called crane's bill, and this is a very different plant from the tender pelargonium most people call a geranium. This one is a true perennial that goes dormant in winter and comes back each spring ready to fill your containers with delicate, saucer-shaped flowers for months. Hardy geraniums produce deeply lobed, attractive foliage that often turns vivid shades of red and orange in fall, making them interesting across multiple seasons. The flowers appear from late spring through midsummer in shades of violet blue, soft pink, magenta, and white. Many varieties will self-seed in nearby pots, giving you free new plants without any effort. Hardy geraniums are native across Europe, Asia, and North America, and they have been used in folk medicine for centuries. Native American tribes used root preparations of several native geranium species as astringents to treat bleeding, diarrhea, and throat inflammation. European herbalists prescribed them similarly, and the roots were listed in early American pharmacopoeias. Research has confirmed high tannin content in geranium roots that supports its traditional astringent applications, as well as flavonoids with antioxidant activity. Hardy geraniums grow in USDA zones 4 through 8, perform in sun or partial shade, need little water once established, and ask almost nothing of you in return for months of beautiful flowers. For containers, the compact varieties are the right choice. And we have reached number 17, the final plant on today's list, and the one that will make every neighbor ask you where you bought it. Number 17 is agapanthus, also known as lily of the Nile, and this South African native produces one of the most eye-catching flowering displays possible from a container. Agapanthus sends up tall, strong stems topped with large spherical flower heads made up of dozens of individual tubular flowers in violet blue, lavender, or pure white. Each bloom head can reach the size of a softball, and a well-established container can produce 10 or more simultaneously. The strap-like, glossy green foliage stays attractive all season. Agapanthus originates in the coastal regions and highlands of South Africa, where it grows wild along cliff edges and rocky slopes. Indigenous Zulu and Xhosa communities used it medicinally for centuries, particularly as a treatment during pregnancy and childbirth, and as a tonic for general physical strength. Dutch traders brought it from the Cape of Good Hope in the 1600s, and it quickly became one of the most prized exotic container plants in English and Dutch horticultural collections. Modern research has identified saponins, flavonoids, and other bioactive compounds in agapanthus with anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activity, supporting aspects of its traditional medicinal use. Agapanthus grows in USDA zones 7 through 11 in the ground, but in containers, it can be grown in colder zones and brought indoors before frost, extending its range considerably. It blooms better when slightly root-bound, making a pot the ideal environment. Give it full sun, well-drained mix, and generous water during the growing season, and it will reward you with a floral display your porch or patio has never seen before. And that is your 17 perennials that thrive in containers and return every single year without replanting, without excessive care, and without demanding the time and energy that traditional garden beds require. What makes container perennials so powerful is exactly what most people overlook. You plant them once, let the roots establish through that first season, and from the second year onward, the plant knows what to do. It goes dormant when the cold comes, stores energy in its roots through winter, and pushes back up with more vigor every spring. The pot is not a limitation. For these plants, it is the perfect home. Whether you have a full porch, a small balcony, a single sunny step, or a shaded corner that has always given you trouble, there is at least one plant on today's list that will thrive in exactly that spot and reward you with years of beauty. If this gave you a plant to look for this season, share it with a friend who gardens. And if you are not yet subscribed to Evergreen Garden, click that button right now and ring the notification bell. Every week, we bring you the plant knowledge that makes gardening simpler, more rewarding, and more beautiful than you ever thought a few pots could be. I will see you in the next video.